The Fool's Gold Gambit. The relentless Arizona sun beat down on the dusty streets of Dusty Creek, a frontier town where fortunes were made and lost on the turn of a card or the flash of a gun. Outside the Rattlesnake Saloon, the day's oppressive heat was matched only by the intensity of the argument between Sarah and Jebediah Hawkins. "Dadgummit, Sarah! Why are you fussing about spending for a little scratch? We're rolling in greenbacks." Jebediah's voice boomed, carrying down the street like a thunderclap. His weathered face, tanned from years under the western sun, was flushed with frustration and more than a little whiskey. Sarah, her eyes narrowed to slits, grabbed her husband's arm with surprising strength. "Keep your voice down, you old fool," she hissed, her words as sharp as a rattler's fangs. "You want the whole town knowing our business?" But the damage was already done. Inside the saloon, 3 pairs of ears had perked up at the mention of wealth. One-Eyed Jack, the leader of the notorious Rattler Gang, exchanged meaningful glances with his cohorts, Slim and Butch. Their eyes glittered with avarice, like coyotes spotting an unguarded henhouse. "Boys," Jack drawled, his voice low and gravelly, "I reckon we just found our next big score." As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of blood and gold, the Hawkins made their way back to their sprawling ranch house. The property stood as a testament to their success. Acres of good grazing land surrounded a sturdy 2-story home that would have looked more at place back east than in this untamed territory. Sarah couldn't shake the feeling of unease that had dogged her since their public spat. As she prepared supper, the clatter of pots and pans couldn't drown out the voice of warning in her head. "Jeb," she called out, "I'm telling you, something ain't right. We shouldn't have aired our laundry in town like that." Jebediah, settled comfortably in his favorite armchair, waved off her concerns with a calloused hand. "You're jumpier than a long-tailed cat in a room full of rockers, woman. Ain't nobody gonna mess with the Hawkins." His confidence, born from years of hard-won success, was as unshakable as the mountains looming in the distance. As night fell, the house creaked and groaned like an old prospector's bones. Sarah lay awake, listening to Jebediah's sonorous snores and the myriad sounds of the desert night. Just as she was drifting off, a sound jolted her fully awake, the unmistakable scratch of a lockpick at their front door. Her heart pounding like a stampede, Sarah nudged Jebediah awake. Years of hard living on the frontier had honed their instincts, and without a word, they slipped out of bed and armed themselves. Sarah's hands were steady as she gripped her shotgun, a stark contrast to the trembling of the floorboards as intruders crept through their home. The Rattler Gang, thinking they'd hit the mother lode, moved through the house with the confidence of seasoned thieves. One-Eyed Jack gestured to Slim and Butch, pointing towards what he assumed was the master bedroom. As they rounded the corner, the darkness exploded with the flash of 2 shotguns being cocked. Well, Sarah drawled, her voice colder than a mountain stream, "Looks like we caught ourselves some rats." The standoff that followed was tenser than a hangman's noose. One-Eyed Jack, realizing they'd bitten off more than they could chew, attempted to negotiate. "Now, folks," he said, raising his hand slowly, "let's not do anything hasty. We'll just mosey on out and forget this ever happened." Jebediah's trigger finger itched, but Sarah's mind was working overtime. She saw an opportunity, one that could solve more than just tonight's problem. "Not so fast," she said, a dangerous glint in her eye. "Y'all are gonna do exactly what I say, or you'll be pushin' to up daisies come dawn." What followed left both the gang and Jebediah slack-jawed. Sarah, proving she was smarter than a whip, proposed a deal. The Rattler Gang would spread word through the criminal underworld that the Hawkins ranch was cursed, that anyone who tried to rob it met a grisly fate. In exchange, she'd let them leave with their lives and a small pouch of gold. "But that's our money," Jebediah protested, his face reddening. Sarah silenced him with a look that could have frozen hell itself. "It's an investment, you old coot. Cheaper than hired guns and twice as effective." One-Eyed Jack, seeing a way out that didn't end with him in a pine box, quickly agreed. As he talked, spilling details about his past crimes in his desperation to strike a deal, Sarah listened carefully, memorizing every word. As the first rays of dawn painted the sky, the Rattler Gang rode out, their tails between their legs but with a new respect for the woman they'd underestimated. Jebediah watched them go, shaking his head in disbelief. "I'll be damned, Sarah. You're slicker than goose grease. But what if they don't hold up their end?" Sarah's smile was as wide and dangerous as a canyon. "Oh, they will. 'Cause I've got assurance." She patted her pocket, where a small notebook rested, filled with every detail one-eyed Jack had spilled about his past crimes. The couple stood on their porch, the dawn painting the sky blood red. They'd survived the night, but the real test was yet to come. Would their gambit pay off, or had they sown the seeds of their destruction? As Jebediah wrapped an arm around his wife, he chuckled. "Reckon I married a rattlesnake in calico, didn't I?" Sarah's eyes remained fixed on the horizon, calculating their next move. "Damn straight," she replied, her voice filled with determination. "And don't you forget it." The sun climbed higher, promising another scorching day in Dusty Creek. But for Sarah and Jebediah Hawkins, the real heat was just beginning. They'd gambled with fate and won the night.